Brazil's Congress moves to regulate crypto payments. Brazil's Congress passed a bill that would regulate the use of cryptocurrency as the means of payments throughout the country, potentially providing a boost toward the adoption of digital assets in the South American nation. The bill, which still requires the signature of the president, would give legal status to payments made in cryptocurrencies for goods and services, but would not grant them the status of legal tender. What this means is that banks, if they choose, could soon begin offering crypto payment services, facilitating the use of crypto for buying and selling ordinary goods, in the same way that consumers currently use credit cards or other similar services. You are watching Crypto Weekly with Aliona Zaleskaya and Gustavo Montero, and we will tell you the good, the bad, and the details of this move. So Gustavo, every day we can hear the news that new countries are moving towards regulating the crypto. And this week has been reported that Brazil started to make this move. Yeah. So we are wondering now, why Brazil? So tell us a little bit more at the beginning about
let's learn a couple of words about Brazil first before we go into more deep things. So in 2021, Brazil had a projected population of over 200 million people, right? Now, just to give you an idea, 200 million people is the US and or Europe. That's the size, very big.
Very large.
It is ranked 6 in terms of population in the world, so very, very large country. And the area of Brazil, you know, the geographic area, is over 8 million square kilometers. This is the 5th largest country in the world. The size of Brazil is probably largest than a good part of Europe and a good part of the US and Canada together. So we're talking about a very, very large country. Yeah.
Okay, but besides the size, we are interested in the economic part. So talking about the economics of Brazil and why it is so important.
Yeah, because this fits into what's going to happen to cryptos in Brazil. So Brazil is one of the largest economies in the world. Is ranked number 12, so it's one of the big ones. It has a GDP in gross domestic product, in 2021 in excess of $12,000 per person per capita. That ranks them really at the top of per person.
I can see that.
Yeah, and the total GDP of the country was in excess of $1.5 billion. Trillion dollars. Instead, $1.5 trillion. That's the actual GDP of the country in Brazil. Now, you say, the number, what does it mean? Well, it's the following.
Yeah.
The GDP of Germany is 4 trillion. So it's 1/4 of Germany.
Yeah.
And the GDP of France is 3 trillion. So it's 1/3 of France. So we're talking about
impressive
sizable country in economics.
And I guess that the Brazil Congress decided to make use of it. So what did they do?
Well, remember that they also have the 7th largest number of billionaires in the world.
In Brazil.
So because of that, Brazil said, well, we cannot just do without having some sort of regulation in the area of digital assets, cryptocurrencies. So the Congress, and this just happened in the last few days, passed a new bill, a new law that regulate the use of cryptocurrencies as a means of payments throughout the country. So you'll be able to pay with cryptocurrencies. Now,
like a fiat, you mean?
Yeah. Okay. Like fiat, like you can pay with dollars, euros, or the Brazilian real, right? You can also, or you will be able now to pay with cryptocurrencies. That obviously provides a huge boost to a country like Brazil, with a population of over 200 million people, as we saw at the beginning. It makes a huge, huge difference. Now, this new regulatory environment will include digital currencies and frequent traveler rewards as part of the definition of payments agreements. And this will be supervised by the central bank.
All right.
So we're going all the way to the top. But the bill, on top of that, will give legal status to payments made in cryptocurrencies for goods and services. So it's
I guess, a little bit too much to digest immediately. So talking in concrete terms, what does it mean?
It means that now banks in Brazil, if they choose to do so, they will be able to offer crypto payment services.
Okay.
And they will be facilitating the payments via cryptos of ordinary goods. Every goods you want, bread, cars, toothpaste, whatever you want, can be used for that. And on top of that, credit cards will involve as part of this business. So banks that issue credit cards, obviously, as you know, will be very directly involved in that.
There are some rumors that some banks in Brazil already working on that. Is that true?
Yeah, Brazil is advanced. It's quite an advanced country. So, for instance, one of the subsidiaries of a very, very large bank in the world, the Santander, it's a giant bank, they already have plans to offer crypto trading services in the country. But local banks like Itaú, which is one of the largest banks in Brazil, is also planning to launch its own tokenization platform. So big banks are getting very much into it in Brazil.
But is it the first case for them, or there were similar before that?
No, as I said, Brazil is advancing this. So Brazil has made already considerable progress in cryptocurrencies. As a matter of fact, Brazil has the most cryptocurrency ETFs in Latin America, exchange rate funds. And in most of the country, banks and brokers already offer some type of exposure to cryptocurrencies. So this is already happening in Brazil, even before the law. Perhaps you can say that what the Congress did is to regulate an activity that was already in the making in Brazil.
All right, but taking into consideration these new updates which are happening, so how the financial activities will be regulated in Brazil now?
Yeah, a very good question, Aliona, particularly seeing everything we've seen lately. So this will be regulated by an executive branch of the government, but also the presidents and the ministers will have an eye on it. And they will use something called the CVM. The CVM in Brazil is the equivalent of the Securities and Exchange Commission in the US. So the main financial regulatory body will be involved in the actual control of these activities in Brazil. Okay,
I got it. But anything else to matter in this regulation? Some hidden things?
Yeah, well, I mean, this bill will offer, or establish rules for the operation of a cryptocurrency exchange platform. So you will be able to have exchanges going on there. And if passed, this bill, remember this was proposed by it's a process, as you know, and probably will be passed. Now, remember that if that happens, entities that want to do this will have to establish themselves in Brazil as a legal entity. So if you want to do this in Brazil, you're going to have to go and regulate yourself and have your own company in Brazil. That's what's going to happen.
All right, but still, whenever something new is happening, we by nature, we try to be very careful. So what is the protection clause in this regulation?
Well, I think the main one in this regulation is that there's an obligation for service providers, so the companies that will be providing services to clients, to separate their own funds from the funds of the clients. So that it's separation already that put there in the law, which is very, very good. Yeah. Because this will prevent situations happening such as the one we saw with FTX very recently.
Yes,
so
absolutely.
Yes, absolutely there is protection for the investors embedded into the laws of Brazil for cryptocurrencies.
Okay, so now we can feel safe, right? Yeah. Okay. To summarize, can you give the last piece of advice?
Yeah, as we always said, and we like to say this again, there is no investment advice in what Aliona and I are discussing here. It's all purely for information. You have to do your own research before you do that, and particularly get professional advice before you invest into cryptocurrencies. Having said that, have a great investment week ahead.
Thank you. See you next week.
Thank you very much, Aliona.